Peace and love. You are now tuned into a dope public health podcast. I'm your host, Demonte. And as always, this is a safe space where we lead with grace and we're always open to learning. And today I'm joined by a certified life coach, certified business coach, singer, songwriter, author, and podcast host, Gena Batchelor. Gena, what's up? Welcome to the show. But I want to start with your life coaching and business coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I started Best Self Coaching Services back in 2017. That's when I
Hmm.
became a certified life coach. And it really was coming out of a period of I just had my second son. And
Hmm.
so I wasn't really familiar as much with postpartum. But to be honest, once I learned more about it, I actually realized I had some of the symptoms with my first son, but it was way more prevalent with my second son. So I started
Understood.
just kind
Yeah.
of learning more about postpartum depression, mental health, and it just became something that I was like, okay, I not only wanted to, receive the information, but I want to share it. So while on maternity leave, I became a certified life coach. The business coaching side just comes from my sales experience. So I decided to step out on my own and do sales coaching for small to medium businesses. So it's kind of two separate entities that I've kind
Hmm.
of combined into one because I feel like in totality, like no matter what it is, if you're starting a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are just a regular, person 9 to 5, it's important to know how to present yourself. So that kind of ties into the life coaching in a way.
Hmm.
But specifically, yeah, in 2019, I kind of just went full force with it as far as launching a podcast, website, and attracting clients. So yeah.
Amazing. Best self coaching. And like you hit the nail on the head. It's a very fine line between like helping someone who you're helping them with their life versus helping someone as far as their career and their aspirations. And like one of the commonalities that I'm sure you know is like mindset. So like maybe if you can well, even before we get there, you said you became a certified life coach while on maternity leave, but like what made you go from like you said you wanna help people. What made you wanna just how did you take that leap of faith? Like, that's a big, big leap.
Doing it. I was already doing it. So I think it was
Mm.
sort of an aha moment of stop and rest because I'm such a go, go, go. And
Mhm.
my maternity leave, it was like time to just really rest and just kind of sit. And I'm like, you know what? People come to me. I'm naturally like I don't mind sharing information, knowledge, wisdom, whatever it may be. And so when I thought about during that time, like, okay, what's something bigger than what I'm doing 9 to 5? Like I was in this
Yeah.
corporate job, it was draining the mess out of me, and so now I've got this downtime and I'm like, what is something that I'm really passionate about? And so kind of just being like, okay, well, this is something I already kind of do naturally. And
Mhm.
now let's like turn this into an actual service that I can actually like offer to people beyond just my friends and family coming to me for, or whatever have you. And even strangers sometimes in jobs would just kind of pour. And I'm like, all right, come on, girl, wiping tears off. We got this. So
Yeah.
mindset and motivation that just naturally, I think maybe from playing sports, I don't know, it just comes naturally to me.
Mhm.
And just making that decision at that time. It was just alignment.
Yeah. And, like, let's, like, kind of bring people into because people hear life coach and they don't quite know what it is. Some people know exactly what it is, but, like, how would you define best self? If I'm a client of yours, if I'm working with Gina, this is what I'm gonna get and how you define life coaching.
Yes, I love that you pointed that out because it's a newer avenue. I think it's a new industry, in and of itself, and it's something that's growing. But when people think of life coaching, I think they kind of compare it to therapy. They kind of compare it to things that are like that have been around longer. And
Mhm.
what I find for myself and like talking to clients and even with my branding, it's accountability. It's a mindset shift that you need to first be in the right space to say, can I dedicate this time and energy that I really need to myself? That's an honest question that just has to be answered on a personal level. So I always say, with me specifically as a life coach, it's not just dumping and then we're done. It's a accountability. It's a process. My program is structured that way. It starts kind of like from the beginning of when we meet to where do we want to get to, and then
Yeah.
there's steps in between. So I think people just are still getting used to the idea of what a life coach is, but I just make it very plain to make a distinction. It's not the same as like therapy or maybe ways that people will think about.
Mhm.
Going to someone for help when it comes to like mental health or talking through just a pause in their life. I think a lot of times It's not so much, and I also am very honest about, like, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not licensed to give medicine or things of that nature. So I'm also very honest about who I can help and who I cannot. And that comes in
Yeah.
like the beginning meeting questionnaire and like our beginning discovery session. But yeah, it's breaking that down in the beginning, and a lot of people do have questions around that. So yeah.
Yeah. And like, what have you found to be one of the most rewarding things about being a life and business coach?
One of the most rewarding things I would have to say is when people are like, "I can't do that." I almost love that because it's like a challenge. So when I see
Mm,
someone that's like, "No, I'm not gonna master that skill," or that I don't have that in me. I don't see what you see, Gina. I've never been that way. I'm not, life hasn't been that for me, so I'm not gonna be this, or there's that doubt and there's that like hesitancy. And even on the business side, it's like, I can't scale to this level. Like, I'm okay with this. And I'm always like, no, okay. I know you don't see it yet, but once we get into it and that spark hits, that idea hits, that moment hits, they're like, ooh, I got this. I really do. And that belief that they get in themselves, that's what's most rewarding
mhm.
for me, is to see a person kind of switch that gear on. They're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And like almost like a follow-up question. What is that like for your client when let's just say it's me and now 2.5 months down the line, something I told you I couldn't do, you now see me doing. What do you see from your clients when they realize like, wait, oh my goodness, I'm doing it?
It's a couple of things. It's kind of like excitement that they did it, but then there's also some. I've noticed, like in some of my clients, there's some hesitancy to move to the next step because they're now like, I
Mhm.
did that. Now I'm good now, right? And it's like, okay, yes, we did that. We're celebrating it, but let's go a little bit further. Let's dig a little deeper. And so I think it's a twofold thing. So the excitement is there for sure. I love seeing that, but then also that like, okay, I'm done with coaching now. I get a lot of those are like they've gone through some
Mm,
sessions. They're like, I'm good now. And I'm like, okay, well, it's still your decision, but these are these things that you told me that we wanted to still work on that we quite haven't gotten to yet. So I think it's like a twofold thing with clients when they reach.
yeah. And oftentimes people think life coaching is like a perfect line. Like I'm going to start and it's just going to go just like this and it's going to be perfect.
No,
What would you say to that?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Life isn't like that, right? So when you're dealing with layers, and that's what I tell people, like sometimes it's not one thing. Like I said, it's not linear. It's not like, okay, we start at A, we're gonna get to B. In between A and B, there could be so many nuances, and
Hmm.
that's not even getting to Z. So being patient, teaching people to be patient with themselves, with the process, and then understanding that, yeah, it's not just like life. There's no easy, just A to Z. There's gonna be some Y's, and just be willing to ride the ride, see where it
Hmm.
takes you. It's uncomfortable sometimes. That's okay. You will make it um,
Yeah.
and just kind of being on that journey with
And like if I was trying to, I'm window shopping right now for life coaching and I'm like, what would you say about like, as far as like, okay, well, sure, I want to do it, but how long do I got to do it? Oftentimes people, have a certain POV of what they think or how long they think it should be. But like from your expert opinion, like you said, you've been doing it for knocking in the door like 10 years. Like, what is that like for people when they kind of come at you that way?
Yeah, so I think the important thing is for people to understand, like when you're picking someone to work with, there has to be a level of trust. There has to be a level of honesty and transparency. And so, again, that kind of goes back to my discovery session in the very beginning. I'm very honest, I'm very blunt, and it's a real conversation. What are you looking to do? Because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to, time is so important. And so I'm very much I think upfront about that and saying, hey, and it goes back to that initial question too. Do you have the time? Do you have the energy to invest in this way in yourself? And if you don't,
Mm,
maybe the timing just doesn't align, but don't forget about me, right? You're still on my email list. I'm still going to send you those shots out. But I'm very honest about it. If you just are not committed, it doesn't make sense to start. So sometimes I do have leads, or I don't like to say leads, but clients that it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of nurturing to get them to that point. And then I have some that jump right in. They're like, okay,
mm,
and they're okay with the process. So my program is built to be, it's not a one size fits all, but it is like a la carte. So you can do individual sessions or you can do the full 6 week program. So some people will say, I just want to do one session with you and see how that goes. And I'm very
Hmm.
and going, okay, that's okay. So as far as the window shopping piece of that, like let's just get our feet wet, and that's okay. And people are apprehensive. I'm a new person. I'm a stranger essentially if they're meeting me online. I have coached family and friends, so sometimes it's that familiarity, but it's still a different hat. So they're like, oh, Gina, it's
Hmm.
not it's not family friend Gina. This is different Gina, but there's that familiarity. So if that's not there at all and you don't have that, it can be, a little daunting for people to open up and really commit financially and the time and the energy to the process. But I find if they're in that piece where they're like, I'm ready, all of that really doesn't matter. It's kind of secondary and it's just kind of guiding them through the process and being very open and honest.
Yeah. And like you landed on something which I do find to be fascinating because like in the realm of like therapy, it's always like, well, no, like your family member can never be your therapist. But when it comes to life coaching, especially with a program like yours, like you have a very robust 6 week program that will take a person from this is where I'm starting to this is where I want to land, and you've done all of the work to design best self to be what it is. So like, how does that allow you to be able to like successfully like work with family or friends when they know, like you said, they know you, but you're like, no, like now I'm going to put on this hat and you're going to get my expertise.
And that sometimes it depends. So I've had some cases in the beginning, especially where I've had to have a conversation and go like, look, this is not time to have banter and like to do that. We're the serious work.
Yeah.
So I'm not. There's some cases where you do have to have that level setting conversation. Then it just maybe not be a good fit, and we just keep our relationship where it is. But those who get it, it's like you sign this confidentiality agreement. Again,
Mm,
it's me, but it's not me, and I'm giving you tools and I'm giving you wisdom and knowledge that yeah, you could get it from me as a friend, but it's not going to be the same one-on-one time that and design time that you get one-on-one with me, and they know that too.
yeah.
So I try to when I'm in Gina mode, I'm not in life coach mode. So they know that too. I do separate, which I think
Hmm.
is important because that's hard. When I said I'm naturally a person who loves to help, loves to give, that was kind of hard to transition into too. So I would recommend anybody who is going to do or accept friends and family, people that you know as clients, to make a clear distinction, try to separate as much as possible. And yeah, sometimes it just may not work out at all. So that's okay too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just kind of like you said, just level setting. Like this is really what it is. What are some myths that you can dispel about life coaching? Because like you said, it's a young profession and some people just have this is what the internet told me life coaching is. Or so and so had a life coach and it didn't go so well.
Yeah.
But, like, what are some of those myths that you can dispel? I think one of them you hit the nail you talked about earlier, like, "Yo, I'm not trying to be your therapist. It's not the same, like, we're, like, barely cousins." Like, how do what are some of those other myths that you would dispel about life coaching?
I think that one of the ones, especially early on, that I ran into a lot was like, oh, it should just be one session and then I'm fixed. I like you're gonna give me all of all of what I need in this hour session and then I'm done. And then when I don't, or it's not and it's clear, like, no, this is gonna take some time, they're like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Like I
You
thought
didn't
we were
fix
gonna get
you
you didn't fix me in this 1 hour? What do you mean? This scam, so it like I've never been sued to that level, but I feel like the thinking is like almost, yeah, it's a myth of
Mhm.
like one and done, one quick fix all. And it really just does not work that way. And especially if you're going into it not with the accountability and the commitment on your end and you're just putting all
Yeah.
that on someone else to do, that's a whole separate conversation as to like, okay, again, are we ready for this? But yeah, I think that's a big myth of like, I should just get one conversation, I should be good.
Yeah.
Another one too is I had someone ask me this as a life coach. You pretty much can do like group or couple. You can do like anything, and I don't really have to talk about me. Like I can bring my spouse, and we just make it about that. And I do recommend if you need to do group sessions. couple
Mhm.
sessions, especially if that's what you're working around or that's impacting you really in your journey. Yes, we can talk about that and I'll offer that too. But we still going to work on you. There's still some accountability. So I think those are the biggest two is like just fix me on one or I'm not that bad as this person. And if you just talk to this person, you'll see that,
Ah,
it's really not
yeah.
me. But so yeah.
Mhm.
I would say those
So,
are like
yeah, interesting. And then, like, so when you're working with someone, like, I guess, what are some things that you have to do to kind of like, okay, let me just redirect, let me reframe the situation. Like, how is that typically received once you begin to like really outline these foundations?
It really depends case by case. I've had some clients where it's way more difficult to redirect them than others. And it just depends on, again, the level of accountability, the level of commitment. I find that clients that come into it with an open mind, I'm easier to go, okay, when we do get stuck and there is a moment where this is difficult, and there's some difficult moments. Not saying that life coaching, even though we're different from therapy, there's some heavy, still traumatic things, some layers, right? That we're
Mhm.
still
Mhm.
uncovering. However, that's the part that I really hone in on with my clients. We don't get stuck in the weeds. Let's not get stuck in the weeds. These are layers that we need to unpack. These are things we need to talk about. You're only as sick as your secrets. So, yes, we do need to talk about these things, but let's move forward. And sometimes it's hard once you unpack that for some clients to move on
Yeah.
and go forward from there. It can be a lot. And then you have to kind of take a step back and go, okay, give that person their space. I've had some clients not come back to the program just because of that reason. And then some are, they take a break and then they're like, okay, I'm ready. I took a few weeks off, whatever have you. But those who are like really committed, I think it's just being very empathetic, have that natural too. So being able to kind of go, okay, I get it. But again, it's that gentle nudge, that gentle push forward of
Yeah.
I know this is difficult. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you've never done this before, but we got to keep moving on to the things and the tools that are going to help you be able to deal with these things in the future if something like this arises again. But if you stay right here with this happened on January 3rd, on this date, we miss out. So I think that's the toughest thing with redirecting.
Yeah. And speaking of like clients, like what's your service area? Like, if, let's just say if somebody's like, okay, I've heard enough and I'm already kind of interested. Like, what's your service area as far as like if people are like, okay, I'm really digging what Gina's saying, and I know that there's some things where I'm kind of like, I'm in this plateau, and I've been trying to do this, and I've been trying to do it on my own, but like, yeah, like, so what's your service area?
hmm COVID forced me to go virtual. So I do Zoom sessions. You can hit me up by email. I have my website as well, which is on my Facebook, but not, I have to relink the new website. But you can
Okay.
email me. We set up Zoom sessions, it's virtual, or we can do it in person as well. I no longer have my office at Bayshore Mall. It's in
Hmm.
the Milwaukee area, Glendale area. It was located there. But again, all virtual.
Awesome, awesome. And I think where I find that to be very beneficial is that like you can be like leaving work, you can schedule one on a lunch break, those different things. So it's like it sounds like you've catered to like serve clients no matter what their day to day is. Like you can fit me in if you have a slot. So how's that been like for you? Just being able to like provide, be able to still provide your great services for folks virtually.
I love it. I first it was a transition because I started in person, and I love that connection. I'm an in-person connector too, but I had to kind of get used to virtually getting my ideas across and connecting that way. So I got a lot of practice during COVID, which, like I said, since then I pivoted to other businesses. Like I have a tea and Best Self Wellness shop where not only with the life coaching you get like a percentage off from my tea and candles. I've just been trying to build on that baby that started as
Hmm.
best self coaching in the virtual and being able to meet people and clients. It gives me that time freedom to do that too. So it has been
Yeah.
really rewarding.
And that's gotta be kinda cool though, especially if I'm a client and I'm like, I can like, especially I'm thinking about certain moments of mindfulness
Hmm.
and like I can legit I'm gonna grab my candle, this is maybe one of my pieces of homework because I'm so busy. I'm always going, going, going.
Yes.
So, how did that c how did that come to be for you as far as, like, being able to, like, offer that? Because branding is everything, but it sounds like it's just authentic to your brand. So how did you land on tea, candles being the vibe?
Yeah, so right out of COVID, it was like 2021, 2022. I hosted a tea party at my house, just random girls' tea party. And I love making my own black Assam black tea. So it was just a thing I
Okay.
do for me anyway. And again, it kind of goes back to like selfish, like, okay, these are things I just naturally do. And so I did the
Yeah.
tea party. They loved it. They were like, Gina, you should do this more often. I was like, okay, you guys. And some of them were not tea drinkers, mind you. Like, so I
Mm.
was like, okay, if I can win over some hard critics that are my people,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
let's see what this can do. So I had my sons help me. I YouTubed it all. I went on Amazon and got all the stuff for the candle wax and learned about organic teas. And then I got some vendors and I learned about like what's natural and organic farms that do the tea farms versus that are like not.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of, I don't know, became like a, just obsessed. I got obsessed with it. And I'm like, I love to consume it. Instead of giving my
Yeah.
money out to, Starbucks and other companies, I'm like, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
my own. And when people dug it and the candles too, I kind of just would love like themes. So I did like a fall theme. That's what started it. And people would they
Mhm.
come over like, who did these candles?
Yeah.
So my mom-in-law, my mom, again, just friends and family. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to open a shop online and tie it all. So yeah, if you complete the program, you not only get a certificate, to say, yeah, you did it, but you get a percentage off any of the products. And then also if you refer people, you get some money back from the subscription. But different, just incentivizing how to like tie all that in because it could be a lot for people to take in. It's like you do this, you do that. And so just trying to get
Yeah.
it all home.
And that's a cool way to kind of celebrate such a great milestone, like completing the program and just kind of that acknowledgement. So like, and in the beginning we talked about I call you like a multi hyphenated kind of creative. In addition to being awesome at what you're doing, also a singer and songwriter. So like I'd love to delve into that a little bit. So like I guess I'm today years old, learning fresh right here, right along with all of our listeners. So like walk me through what let's put this artist hat on, you're both singer and songwriter. What's that like for you? Do you go by the same name? Like, let's go there for a little bit.
Well, I'm Gina and everything that I do.
Word, word.
Publishing and Gena Batchelor. But yeah, like music is something that started with me at 6 years old. So it's
Mhm,
a friend, a familiar thing that has always been in my life. Writing started for me at 13 years old. And so when I learned poetry and then I combined that with like melodies, because I was always a fan of music, I used to steal
mhm.
my parents' CDs, the vinyl. I was that kid,
Right,
like my dad,
right.
where's my Otis Redding? Like it's in my room. So I've always been a fan of different genres of music and just like a fan of people who make it. And then at 13, I was like, I want to try to make my own song. And so it kind of started from there. And at 15, I submitted, actually, my cousin submitted a song of mine behind my back. But when she told when she told me, I was like, okay, let's go. And it was a country label out of Nashville that reached out to me and was like, we really want to work with you. And my parents were too afraid to send me down there. I was too afraid to fly by myself. I
Mhm,
put music on hold. After that, I think it scared me a little bit, if I'm being honest now. So I'm
mhm.
like, okay, I could really do this, but do I really want to? And
Yeah,
so sports and life hit. I got married. I had my kids, and I just always kept it in the background. And then coming out of my divorce, I was like, what is the one constant? Like, I love life coaching. I love giving. I love, my business that I've built and my brand that I've built, but there's still something deep in me that's kind of a little bit of a void. I'm
yeah,
always preaching, find your passion, go after your passion. So writing music and performing it and singing was just that missing little piece that once I honed in back on that and like put my energy
yeah,
back into that, it's been so rewarding. It's been so fulfilling. I love it. It's creativity. It's another form of creativity for me and therapy. So again, coming out of my divorce, I did a lot of shadow work. um,
yeah,
that's something I talk about as well. If you're interested in that, please hit me up. I think that's important work to do. But
for sure.
aside from doing that, it was a lot of just writing out my feelings, and it just was in a song form. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to a studio and record it just for me, just for me. I want to get this out of me. And again, people are like, "Hey, I love this. You should share this with people. Maybe this could help someone." So I write about the same principles that are important to me as a life coach. So it all kind of weaves together. So I have a
Wow.
song called Losing Yourself, which is important about not loving others before you love you, because you can lose yourself that way. So keep telling the truth, being honest with people around you. I write about love and falls of it in the highs of it, everything in between that is
Mhm.
also a frequency to tap into as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's just something that was always there, and I just put my focus back on it as of recent.
Yeah. And with that, because you touched on, like, a few different subjects, like, what genre would you say you fall in, if any?
When my writing, so as a writer, there is no genre, there is no box. I write pop, electronic, country, hip hop. I will write a rap, all of it. But when it comes to
Word.
my singing and my lane, I am a gospel, neo soul, R&B baby all day.
Mm.
I would put myself in that box because it's what I love to express. And I feel like all music comes from the root of gospel. We can debate about it, but I don't care if it's rock music, blues, rhythm and blues.
Mhm.
It all
Mhm.
comes from old spirituals and gospel. So I'm rooted in that and I celebrate that, especially as an African American. That's a part of our culture. And I feel like that's not something that we should shy away from. It's part of
Yeah.
us. So I highlight that in my music. You're going to get some choir sounding vocals from my church days.
Okay, okay. And then since we're here, because I'm a also a lover of music, who would you say maybe give me 2 to 3 folks that not that you sound like, that just really inspired you to help you develop your own style?
Oh, that's hard. I have such a long list.
That's okay. That's okay.
I would say at the top of the list, Aaliyah. Being a skinny tomboy kid, she was just that thing for me. Like, ooh, okay, okay, I see myself
Yeah, she was super innovative and, like, she was,
in
like, the
her
first that we've seen
that we
of
see
her.
use that
Yeah.
like jazz, hip hop, R&B whole thing, and like with so much swag and like, oh
Yeah.
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 And
That's a
when I
good one.
her going back to like still in my dad's music, Otis Redding, and the way
Mhm.
that soulfulness and the way he just kills on every record. That's inspiring. And I would have to say Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, jazz music, John Coltrane. Um,
Mhm.
it inspires me to stay authentic and
Yeah.
real in what I write. And if I gotta cry it out because when you sing from the heart and you write from the heart, it touches the heart. So I would say
Yeah.
those artists.
Yeah. That's really cool, and it's like you said, music does have a therapeutic element to it. So, like, you were saying initially, I just wanted to get this out. I just wanted to get this out. But, like, what would you say about, like, just your artistic process just as a singer and songwriter? Just something that, like, maybe what's one of those parallels between being an artist? Like you said, the content, there's some alignment there. Are there any other areas where, wow, these things are they're aligning perfectly?
I think the approach to being a forever student is a thing for me. So, like, even with life coaching, like, I'm still learning from people. I love watching motivational speakers. I love learning better. And then I think with the music, like, I approach it the same way. Like, I'm studying Russ and I'm studying La Russell and like these independent artists and how are they doing it? The business side of it and, the content and the actual like singing and the writing of it all, the creative side of it all, and how you marry that in. So I think just being a student and knowing that like there's so much still to learn, is a big thing for me in all areas. I would say as well as I'm very methodical. So when I write, it's either a concept that came to my mind or something on my
Mhm.
heart that I'm like, I gotta get out. Like I'm saying, like, I'm super sad. I don't have the words to say it, but I have this idea and I want to write it out in a song form. So I'm being intentional with any time that I'm writing something about why
Yeah.
am I writing it? What is it doing for me? I don't just like to do it for no reason. The same with the life coaching. Like I was very methodical, very intent. My intentions were very much like, okay, if I'm going to do this and give this my all, what's my reason behind it? And that's what drives me to still be hungry for it, still learn more. So I say the parallels of just like how I approach it. That would be kind of similar, but definitely
Yeah.
different entities, different.
Yeah, I think too, what I also hear you saying is just like, the process. It's like, even like if you're on this journey being coached by you from like a life coach perspective or a business coach perspective, we have, like you talked about, the 6-week program, and that's a process. And then also, then when it comes to creativity, you kind of allow yourself those same guardrails to kind of fuel, to kind of passion. How has that been just for folks like, well, I guess I should ask this. Do clients get to see a little bit of both by happenstance or like, oftentimes people are like, well, this is my business side, this is my artist side. But I'm looking at this full blown brand, so to speak. So like how do you navigate that?
They blend. They do. I wish I could say that they don't, but they do. And I think a lot of it is because what we do as life coaches is, I don't think people really realize this, but it's so energy based. It's so, you have
Yes.
to be in alignment with who you are. And you have to know what it is that, for you to be able to like give and receive and help and assist. I think it's so important that for you not to be able to get lost in helping clients, a clear understanding of, okay, this is who I am when I'm able to separate. So knowing who I am, knowing my purpose helps me
Mm.
write music. It helps me in the life coaching space because all of it is still aligned with who I am, and you're going to meet who I am. And I can't hide that. I can't separate it. So when I'm on stage, I'm motivating. Like at my shows, I'm literally with the mic, like, hey, you guys, have an awesome day. Like if you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
comes out. And then, even with the life coaching, like if it's someone who does music, let's talk about that. Let's connect on that. I don't shy away from that and go, oh, I'm an artist. I got to keep that separate if that comes up
Hmm.
in the conversation for whatever reason. But it all blends for me. It really does.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool because I think what I'm also hearing you say is people are just drawn to authenticity. How has this authenticity how has that served you with, best self talk coaching?
Very well, because I think my whole approach just to life in general, like whether I'm sharing something on social media or you just meeting me in passing, is to carry me. I think having a mom who was a counselor who made me talk as a kid,
Mhm.
really created a safe space for me to be me. And so growing up that way, I realized quickly not everyone had that. Not everyone has that safe space. And so I'm very mindful of that. And I don't mind kind of taking a step back and going, okay, this is something that is needed beyond just me and kind of giving, because I know how to give to me when outside of those moments too, which is very important. You got to be able to pour back into yourself. So I would say just, yeah, I think overall, I think that's kind of the main like thing for me. It's like, okay, um, I know who I am and I
Mhm.
can't be anyone else. So you're going to get this real. And from the very moment, you may look at me and think one thing. I've had people say that to me a lot, like, think one thing. But as soon as I
Yeah.
open my mouth and we have that conversation, it's very apparent that my heart is in the right place. I'm coming with the right intention. Again, it goes back to, I know I'm here to serve God's people. And if you don't believe in God, whatever you believe in, I believe we all have a higher calling. And I just know that mine is to connect with people. And so if I'm out here
Yeah.
being fake and you see me doing one thing, but I'm preaching another, it wouldn't sit right with me. So not even just on a stance of like, I want other people to see it that way. I would be convicted in my own spirit where it wouldn't align. So
Absolutely.
and my alignment allows me to be creative. That's where the creativity comes from, is being in alignment. That's something that I talk about a lot. It's like, oh, I have this block and that happens. And yeah, but one of the keys to unlocking it is excitement about your passion and knowing what you're doing.
Yeah. And you said a little bit ago, pouring into self. I heard you say. You also spoke about like sometimes while we're not therapists, sometimes it gets pretty deep. So then in addition to your creative, outlet, being an artist and songwriter and author, what are some of the things maybe that you can share that are like, this is part of my whole self-care package to make sure I can keep doing what I'm doing? What does that look like for you?
Absolutely. It's changed. I'll be very honest. Like I've had to pivot and find what works for me at different ages. So I would say it went from just doing, my lighting my candles, listening to my jazz music, maybe having like a half a glass of red wine,
Hmm.
unwinding that way, to when life hit and divorce hit and some extra things hit. It's like, okay, now I need to add in, I got a therapist. So I am now, not only just offering my service, I am a person who believes in getting some help and when you need some
Yeah.
help going and seeking that outside. So I don't just preach it, I actually did it too. So adding that in there when I need to call her up or I need to hit her up on a Zoom, we do that. That's self-care for me now. Activating my throat chakra, that is self-care for me now because there was a time where I didn't always speak up and advocate for myself. I kind of would go with the flow a little bit more and go, okay, I'll just speak up later if it ends up being an issue. But beforehand, I now will speak up. Self care is not just aesthetic for me. I guess it's more literally like every day being able to say, you know what, if I don't want to go here and I'm tired, I'm not going there. If I
Yeah.
need rest on this day, I'm taking that rest on this day. If it's time to go in go mode, I got the confidence. Let's do this, girl. We're getting up here and we're going to do this. Let's go. So it's so different now for me for self-care. So
Mhm.
all those little things, the baths, the cute aesthetic, the, keeping my home, and all of that. But the deeper work that I found is like sitting down and going, okay, I was triggered, because I journal still. I was triggered by this, that, or the third, and what can I do to self-soothe me so I'm not going out looking for other people to fill that void. So again, maybe it's like, oh girl, you haven't bought, a new shirt. So maybe it's $5 now. I'm at Five Below or whatever little thing,
Mhm.
ice cream. I love some good a good turtle sundae. So any little
Right.
thing that you can do to say, okay, I'm checking in with me. I need to do something instead of just making it like a routine. Okay, every night I do this at this time, which I still do my yoga, and I love yoga. That's a big thing that I do too since college
Mhm.
to centering ground. But again, it's kind of it's changed. It's changed over
Yeah.
time, and that's why I tell people like some things that used to work just might not work as things progress in your life, and it's okay to adjust.
I kinda like that though because oftentimes people do look at self-care, like you said, as just like you said, aesthetic. Like, it's not and what you just spoke to, it goes far beyond the look. It's more about the action and the intention in those things than the actual not that those other things don't matter,
Mhm.
but that other shadow work is just as essential, um, to what you're doing. Also leaning back into the authenticity piece, maybe speak to, I believe some of the things that I've come across is that the assumption that life coaches have a perfect life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a life coach, so that means you have it all. No, no, no. What it means, and I said this on my website, is like the whole premise, the meat of it, the meat of the whole thing is life hit me too. I too experienced some things. I
Yeah,
too have been through some storms. And I'm very honest with in my sessions too about my own journey as needed. I don't like to make it all about me, but if there is some questions around that, like since you got it all figured out, but and there are those questions, yeah. And I'm just being honest, there definitely is that. And it's very much like, okay, let's talk about that because no, it has not been perfect. It is not perfect, and it will never be perfect. But what it is that I accumulated tools, I accumulated wisdom, and accumulated some knowledge around the things that life threw at me. And instead of being like, oh, I went through that, I said, okay, life ain't gonna get me like that again. What can I
yeah,
learn from that and what can I do different and what can strengthen me to never go back to that place again if I can help it. If I can do everything in my power, I'm going to do it. And so, no, it is not that you have a perfect life at all. Trust me, we go through it
yeah,
too. But again, it is like having just an extra person in your corner, sure,
yeah.
mentor, coach, if you will, like a sport. I always liken it to sports because I play sports too. So it's
Mhm.
really that coach on the field that I can't go out and run the play for you. Well, I ran some
Facts.
plays myself, when I play, but now I'm at a level where I can look out on the field, I can see all the different players, and I know where I can see where you can fit, and I can see like you've only been doing this, but you can do more and contribute to the team more. It's just a higher level. I think people don't really get to connect that, but when you do, let them know, like, no, I'm a real person. I've been divorced. Okay, I know what heartbreak is. I've been through
Mhm.
different avenues and different hardships, and definitely some deep dark thoughts of like, what do I do, where do I go, what is life, looking in the mirror and not recognizing who you are, all of those things that a lot of us as humans feel. I don't care what color you are, what gender you are, binary,
Yeah.
non-binary, life happens to us all. And so we are not exclusive from it at all. It's just, again, sharing the tools that we've learned.
And I think too, what's intriguing about that is like, you're just normalizing the journey. Hey, this is part of it. Like, and we can make it through conflict. And guess what? You're probably going to experience more conflict. And that's not always a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the journey of life. So like, I mean, I really like that you do that because it just really helps people to begin to look at, I believe what I'm hearing is that you're helping people look at life coaching way differently. Like I can do this. And oftentimes it's like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that's experiencing fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting someone to kind of help me, be those guardrails so that I can just make sure that when I'm doing my thing, I'm avoiding certain pitfalls. Um, in addition to both of those things, you also are an author. Several books, one book. Where just take us down for a second, like, Gina as the author, does that include, things that, like, maybe if I'm a client, I can maybe pick up something that may supplement services I'm receiving? So, just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't quite have like a tied best self, and that's something that I really want to get is like a best self coaching kind of tips like playbook. But the two books that I have written that are on Amazon Kindle, one is centered around social duality. So that is speaking from
Mm,
my college days of going to an all white college and sort of being a little bit more of a fish out of water than I was used to being,
mhm,
and celebrating the ability to be able to navigate through different social settings because we all do it. And I think we're so non-cognitive of it. We're not conscious of it. It's just something that we naturally do as humans. We adapt. As humans, we adapt. I also studied sociology and psychology in college too. So I wanted to write about what that feels like when you are navigating a social setting that maybe you haven't before, but you're still
yeah,
being yourself. And so I found a lot of times feeling like, okay, I'm in this setting where I'm having to speak a little different than I would in a different setting, right? But I
yeah,
take my culture with me wherever I go. I take my knowledge with me wherever I go from family, from where I come from.
mhm,
And then the experiences that you get along the way, you go home and you take that with you. So we're always weaving through different social settings. And I think it's important to celebrate that. I think it's a superpower if you can do that successfully. So that's what that book is about.
mhm,
One Soul, Two Worlds, Social Duality. That's the title of that book. And the second is an ode to the generation of the crack epidemic.
mm,
My parents were affected by that, so that's something very close to my heart. Learning their stories, growing up, I didn't know. Obviously, our parents try to hide things from us as much as they can. But as
right,
I became an adult and hearing their stories and just how much they have to turn their lives around and just how much they were affected, and not just themselves, but like a whole community, and listening to
yeah,
them talk about in like the 50s and the 60s how our communities look throughout like the 80s and 90s. So, and then it's also just an ode to celebrate those who survived it because we talk about, there's so many negative connotations with that period. I feel like a lot of what we see in media, what we read in books, it's always about kind of pointing the finger at the people who were, affected by that. And so
mm,
it's a real story, putting a real face to it. It's a love story. If you read it, it reads as like a really like set in the 80s. Just to give a little bit of a background about it.
that's
So
dope.
the mom was addicted and changed her life around, but because of the upbringing that her daughter had, made her very closed off to men. She meets this amazing man, but she's very hesitant. He wins her over time, and they end up getting together and finding out. Not to spoil it, but to find out that his dad, who's been in prison, knows her mom. So there's some background,
Wow,
family turmoil. There's some things that they have to overcome. And I think it's just given, again, a face to that time period that I'm not ashamed of. Again, my parents made it through it. They are successful in what they do now, and then they raised me and my sister out of that. So
Yeah.
it's a part of where I come from. So I wrote about a little bit about.
And I like what the theme with both of the books is like, oftentimes when we hear both of the subjects of just, social duality as well as like, just what happened during the crack epidemic is like, oftentimes the negative piece like you spoke to, but, the theme with all throughout what you do, which is super cool, is like, hey, there is light. There is something that you can find from here to take to then grow from. Um, does that just speak to overall just who Gina is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. I'm married into the last name Joy. So anyone who meets me, they're like, "Oh, that fits you. That's my maiden name." So I don't know if
Yes,
that says
yes.
bachelor, like if that fit because I love to party too. So that could fit either way. But no, that is me. Like I feel like again, I think it's just going back to like having a mom who was a counselor and like really open with me and really like, you know what, there's some dark stuff in this world. You know, she was honest about that. Like there's some dark stuff.
Yeah,
And then as I got older, I've seen it for myself, like, wow. So I can choose to either amplify that and be out here on social media and have a business that's tailored around, the darker parts of our humanity, or I can say, hey, let's try to shed a light on what we can do. So while we're here,
yeah.
let's make the best of this
I
experience.
dig that. I dig that. And then can't leave without putting you on the hot seat. This is that time of the show where we have to ask, or I have to ask, what's that one dope song that, like, no matter what kind of day Gina's having, it's gonna get you there. It's gonna get you exactly the vibes you need, and it's just in heavy, heavy, heavy rotation for you. What's that song?
Oh my gosh. I think right now I am so into Cleo Soul. Y'all have
Okay.
to tap into if you don't know her, she's got this song, it's
Mhm.
like it's like a reminder, like, we're not crying today. We're gonna get up.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like maybe I am crying, right? I've had some days where I've listened to it, I'm like, there will be no crying, but I am, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of that song, I'm like, you know what? No, girl, you're right. We're gonna break these tears up because I need that reminder too. So that song right there, and then I gotta throw another one in there. So that one is,
Okay.
but a classic for me is that Mary J. Blige. Um,
Mhm.
blanking on the name of it. Where she's like it's my birthday. It's like a upbeat, really oh my God.
Mhm.
I can't believe I think Michelle Obama walked out to it.
Really?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, I feel so bad. I'm blanking on the name, but it's a little bit of an older, but later Mary J. Blige one, but
Yeah.
super positive, super motivational. It is in my playlist, and my phone is acting up. I wish I could pull up the song.
That's okay. That's because that's okay. Well, and I'm big on like we want to grow this community and like start like sharing this playlist. My goal and dream is like we just have this extensive dope playlist, and then everybody that's like on the show listens to the show. We can all just like become this big old musical family where we're just at creating all the vibes. That's
Love
definitely the goal.
that. That is
So yeah, so definitely when you get that song, shoot me the
I will
link. So
send it to
yeah,
you. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. But yes, those two, like right now, I'm like, okay, I need that pick me up.
yeah, I dig that, and, like, I just wanna thank you for coming on the show. I think this was super duper fun for me, and then, like but again, before we go, folks, if they like what they heard, they wanna, get in touch with you again, what's the best way for them to get a hold of Gina?
Yes, so shoot me an email. That way I can add you to my list, my marketing list, and I won't flood your email, I promise, but I'll be able to tailor it to you. So best self coaching services LLC at gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me.
Dope, dope, and what we'll be doing this is the part of the show where it'll go right there. So, yeah.
Here.
So thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you all for listening. So, as always, public health is dope, and
Yes,
so are you.
absolutely.
Peace.